one of our big topics tonight. We were going to talk about Jeb Bush's liabilities. He's got the Bush legacy. He's a diminutive guy, and I think this second part, him being rather diminutive, not a strong speaker, definitely a cuckold, and definitely a cuckservative, is part and parcel of the fact that his wife is an illegal immigrant. She was at one point, right?
Yeah, Steve Saylor wrote a couple pieces about this. It's I don't want to say it's conjecture, but it's not. There's no black and white proof. Well, I mean, I don't know. You can't really say that. She spent time in the United States prior to her naturalization after marrying Jeb, which took place in 1979, and she was definitely in and out of the United States but prior to that, and the Bush camp is very tight-lipped about her authorization to be here when she was.
Yeah, I mean, she was allegedly, according to Saylor's article on VDare, issued a Social Security card in 1966. She was also probably a migrant worker. And yeah, the Bush campaign will not provide a date in which she obtained her green card. I don't know how this is possible. This timeline doesn't make sense. She's married to Jeb in 74, naturalized in 79, but somehow had a Social Security number since 66. We know that her father and her uncle were both illegal immigrants back and forth to the United States. And I'll just mention this, that her father moved back to Mexico in the early 90s and lived off of Social Security checks for the rest of his life.
Yeah, Social Security checks a lot of money if you're down there in Mexico, man. You'd be fucking drinking margaritas and fucking senoritas on $1,100 a month or whatever it was.
Yeah, it's not a bad way to live. And his daughter, the mestizo gremlin, Jeb's 3D waifu, Trump was tweeting about her and saying, yeah, Jeb likes illegals because of his wife. Now, Trump later deleted this tweet, but it's not all that inaccurate. This is a woman who tears up whenever the Mexican national anthem is played. She can't speak English. The only public speech she's ever given in English was one in which she read a series of pre-written remarks, and it's terrible. If you ever listen to it, it's absolutely terrible. Have you heard it?
Yeah, it's. I think Saylor linked to it. It's available on C-SPAN. It was about drug addiction or something. Yeah, it was drug addiction, I believe. And this was at some point in the 90s. And she actually also cut a campaign ad for HW, in which the ad began with her speaking Spanish, and her children are in the picture, and then it pans out, and you see President George H.W. Bush there, and he takes over in English. So yeah, it's their sort of two-pronged assault.
Yeah, and her claim is that she doesn't speak English because she's quote-unquote shy, and she doesn't want to be involved in politics because she's not political. But the example that you cite, as well as many others, she's spoken in Spanish. She looks happy, she looks excited, and she's spoken on behalf of many political candidates. And, you know, there was mucho consternation over her revoking her Mexican citizenship in order to vote for H.W. Bush. She had to go pray to some saint, right, to get wisdom on this. And I don't have a problem with prayer, I don't have a problem with Christianity, but she's married to the son of a man who is running for president, and she has the opportunity to vote in that election as an American citizen, and it comes down to her having to pray to try to figure out if this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. Her son, who not only is running for president, but also served as the governor of a very prominent state in U.S. electoral politics, and is one of the larger states by population, and it just doesn't add up. She's not shy. It's embarrassing. The fact, the manner in which she speaks English after having been in this country for 40 years, both legally and more than likely illegally, is it's not up to snuff. I mean, there are people who have been here for 5 years. I mean, there are people who don't live in the U.S. and their primary language is not English, yet they can speak English much better than that.
Yeah, and that's part of the naturalization requirement set out by USCIS, which is that you must be able to read, write, and speak English, as well as have an understanding of U.S. history and government. And unless there was some fraudulent claim that she could do that, she doesn't seem to be able to do any of these things. Jeb says that he speaks Spanish at home. We don't know whether this is out of preference or necessity. This is a hat tip to Steve Saylor for bringing this up on VDare. And Jeb says that he will be speaking Spanish in the White House. This is a woman who is going to become, potentially, in Jeb's eyes, our first lady. She can't speak English. Very limited, and they're going to be speaking Spanish in the White House. I mean, where do these people think that they're going to get the support for a national candidacy for president?
Yeah, and I think particularly after 2 terms of Barack Obama as president, people are, looking for some dignity to be restored to the presidency, but also very much so, I think, to the First Lady as well, because the one that we've had is a little bit ridiculous, and replacing her with some fucking Mexican troll is not.
But this is a step forward, Marcus. I mean, this is the direction that we want to head in a country. We want to have a woman who's the current First Lady, who only became proud of this country when her didn't-do-nothing husband was elected office. And now we have a potential First Lady who doesn't even speak the English language, and would readily go back to Mexico and does not want to renounce her Mexican citizenship. I mean, these people, I don't even know what country I'm living in anymore at this point.